So I got a few more questions that I always wanted to know. So like when you guys initially split from Nelk, it seemed like you were like pushing Full Send and Kyle were like pushing Nelk more. Was that a thing? Like did you guys like decide like, all right, I'm gonna go with the Full Send and he's gonna go with Nelk?
We didn't really decide it, but I think I just naturally I've just always been more interested in the clothing, so I just like started doing that. And I think once I started getting the anxiety for the more like sketchy pranks, I would just call it, I think I just like was like, I need to be useful, and this is where I'm useful, so I'm gonna like dive into this. And but it was not like we ever made it a decision or we talked about it. It just naturally happened. But because I think we were at different points of our life too. That was like Kyle was on we're making it, and like we gotta like push it even harder to like, we gotta make it even more crazier and whatever, you know what I mean? And then I was more like
slow and steady.
Yeah,
let's
like
build a foundation.
Yeah, like I'm gonna dive into some other shit. So
were you the one that sent him the video of Steve that got Steve on the Nelk? I think he said
no, that was Kyle. I give him all the credit for that.
Oh, really?
He found Steve, and then I don't know if we were out in Florida, but I didn't even go to the first time Kyle went and like filmed with him.
Yeah.
I don't know. There were so many moving parts to what was going on at that time, but like Kyle was like pushed for it and everything, and he saw like, you know, what he could be, and he was right about that. Like, that was insane. Bringing Steve back to the Phase House, like, you know, Banks and it was like Logan Paul. It's like everyone was at these parties, and then just like Steve does his thing, chugs a 40, and like it was like, I mean, I saw the guy go to like 1 million in like a month. Like it was, because it's just like you can't not pull your phone out and film someone like downing a 40 with 2 straws in it in 20 seconds. It was just too insane.
That's smart though, to be like, oh, our audience clearly appreciates the fact that we like to drink, but we might not be the greatest drinkers on earth, so let's get someone in here who can drink more than almost any human being on earth.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, no, that was a great decision. So were you and Kyle more like business partners, or like, cause it seemed like you guys maybe don't hang out as much? Like, did you guys realize like maybe we weren't the best of friends? And
at the time?
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I mean, we clearly were close friends. We were like the only 2 people that throughout the whole process that we both came from places where no one was thinking the way we were thinking. Yeah. So that's why we connected, right? So I think like that friendship was always about the dream, I think, and less about us having a bunch of shit of similarities or like hobbies or even the music taste or like anything. I could tell that we were just like he was a city guy, I was a country guy. Like it was like there's a million things that were just like, we were so different, but I also think that was like the perfect symmetry that made, that's why we blew up also for like college, because I think you had the like every side of the coin covered, you know what I mean? Even if it was like I had to help bring in the like more skater kind of creative like design kid, and then he was bringing in his whole like side of the coin, but it made the perfect like everyone in college can like with this or like have a favorite, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, because it's like if you're focused on a mission, like you see that when you're on vacation, you'll just become friends with somebody staying at the resort, and then like realistically, if that person asked you to hang out when you were back at home, it might seem like a lot less appealing to go spend time with this person. Or if there was a burning building, you know, you might be my biggest enemy, but it's like if we got to run in there and like save people, we're gonna just be together. Like this is fine. Like we're gonna be focused on this. But like once you've already accomplished it, the differences between you start to show a lot more.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, we'll like talk every once in a while, but we're like, I think that also shows that how much we had just differences, or that. I mean, I think we would have like remained closer friends or hung out more if like we were really.
How long did you deliberate over leaving the brands and doing your own thing? Like how scary was that?
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, probably the biggest decision I ever made, or like hardest decision I ever made. But it was, it took like a while, because I mean, the whole thing was a legal battle too. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, and you've invested, you know, a decade of your life to this. You got to make sure you're not getting. So I mean, it was And then there's also the whole point of like, I think what happened is before I was even questioning it, I was already at a state of pretty unhappy, and I kept doing I don't know if you ever done this in your life with shit, but you're like, just like one more year, like push it through, like gonna do this. And then you catch yourself like, bro, I've been saying this for a while. I need to make a change or something. So
it's just impressive that you figured that all out so young, that you were willing to take a step back from this thing that was already super successful, because so many people just don't have the confidence that they're going to be able to do something that people care about again.
I definitely think I think it was two things. Like one, I knew there was so many things that I wanted to create that couldn't work under that umbrella. So I knew that I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I could do it. And I also didn't give a fuck if like I did it to that tier. Like, so those are the two things that were just like, because I'm sure that's a thing you get in your head or your ego, and you're like, well, I got to go create something just as big or do this. And it's like, I didn't have any of that. So it made it like an easier decision once I got to that point.
Like, you were already comfortable enough financially that it wasn't like, I feel like that would be the scary part for most people. It's like, I'm never going to be able to make this amount of money again. Yeah.
And I didn't change my lifestyle where now, like, if I'm not making this kind of money, I'm going to eventually run out or some shit. So it was, that's why it was like a no-brainer. Like, I'm just like, and even when I think about like all the safety nets of, you know, you set up these investment portfolios and this, and you own your house, and you do all these things, and I'm such a like security person, but like, I was just talking to my buddy about this, but I was like, I don't even know why I like keep trying to set myself up. Like, even my current company, I'm like, how do I streamline this so it's not burning any money, and it's bringing in this amount? And I'm like, I'm not the kind of person that will ever like not work. So I don't know why I'm so worried about like making sure that I never have to work again. You know what I mean? I've really been trying to think about that.
And like most people who start businesses, realistically, not me, but like this is just how most people do it, is they like take on funding. They're happy to lose money for multiple years building up a brand or whatever, and then ideally it'll be successful in the long run. Whereas like I never had that luxury. It was always like anything I'm starting, like primary goal is I got to be able to pay my rent, you know, and that determines a lot of your decisions, because you know, if you're starting a seltzer company and you're trying to make sure that you have enough money to set yourself up for life, you're not going to be dumping money into promotion, which is probably what you need to be doing at that point to really get it where it needs to be going.
Oh yeah, it's completely like almost unfair the way I can start companies and not have to. I can just actually have the funding, do everything I want to do, have the marketing engine, like have all the connects, like to someone who's just like, exactly, they have to make a business that pays their rent and is growing and have no connections, have nothing. It's like, no matter how stressed or how much I work sometimes, I'm like, dude, it's like, I have it on easy mode right now. You know what I mean? That's how it feels sometimes.
No, yeah, that definitely is like a motivating factor for me in terms of like doing a new brand or like trying to push a different angle of the brand, is like, oh, I can kind of like do this in a more slow paced way that's more deliberate, because I don't have to be worrying about making the dots connect